Wait, okay. Well, what's the favorite boots that you've ever worked on? Do you remember? I mean, you have so many you made.
Oh, well, I have a lot of favorite boots. I think there's one particular pair.
Uh-huh.
Well, actually, I made the guy 2 pairs.
Uh-huh.
And this gentleman suffered, he was diabetic and suffered with gout.
Uh-huh.
And he came to me to order a pair of boots, and I took a look at his feet, and they were just these little swollen sausages. I mean, I thought, oh my God.
Uh-huh.
And I took his measurements and everything. I built those lasts up half an inch all the way around, top, bottom, all the way around.
Wow.
And it was the strangest thing, because it was just like I had this photographic memory of his feet when I was working the last down and sanding the leather off and everything.
Yeah.
And of course, I go a lot by feel as much as by vision, you know, when I'm doing that. And I just seemed to know when they were right. It was just like I was feeling it. I said, okay, they're right. And I made him his first pair of boots on those lasts. And he came in and tried them on, and they just fit perfectly. And he just breathed a sigh of relief, and he said, oh, I could wear boots again.
Oh, that's nice.
And I made him 2 pair, and that's the most rewarding work I've ever done.
Yeah.
That and getting this woman fit with her shoes.
Yeah.
You know, that's the bedrock of it all. You know, the glitz and glam is fun, and you can do all these things, but when you have someone that comes to you that cannot buy anything off of the rack. I can't buy boots off the rack myself. I've got a real high instep and a long heel measure, and if I can get them on, they're 2 sizes too big in the foot.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And so I can't buy boots, and not too many shoes actually either. So I really truly get that.
Right.
And you know, there are a lot of people out there who they've settled all these years because that's all they could get, and they really don't know what a proper fitting pair of footwear feels like. You know?
Yeah.
But that's kind of what I really think about more now than anything, more than the style and the flash and everything. It's getting people something that's comfortable and they feel good wearing.
Yes, they feel good wearing. That's it. Definitely.
Yep.
Do you have a signature style or a stitch of?
Yeah, my style, the style of boot that I make most is like I say, the little square undercut toe.
Yeah. Okay.
And most of my personal boots are made like that. I have made some on a round toe last just to prove that I could do it. And I've made some with a wide square toe, you know, because you know that's kind of the style nowadays.
Yeah.
So you gotta, and really that style I really like. The last pair of boots I made was big old square toe like that. It was rough out leather, and those are just the most comfortable boots I've ever worn. And I love them. You know, in the wintertime, I wear them all the time.
Do you always wear your boots that you make? Or do you wear?
Oh, I wear them when I go out and about. I don't wear them around the house, and I don't wear them to work in.
Oh.
I'm working on a pair of shoes for myself right now that I can wear in the shop.
Nice.
You know,
does it have a little more cushion or what?
Yeah. And I like a leather sole because I like the flexibility of it.
Yeah.
But in a shoe like that, I'll put toppy or something on it. You know, that little thin rubber that you can just cement on that gives you a little bit of grip, and you know,
cool.
They don't wear out. You take the toppy off and replace it. You don't have to replace the sole.
Yeah. Something simple and easy, right?
Yep.
Yeah. How many pairs do you work on at a time?
It depends on how many I have on order. You know, I've never been one of those bootmakers that says they're 2 years behind. I kind of have my doubts about it. Of course, maybe if they do, more power to them. I'm glad you got that kind of business. I never did.
Right.
You know, the one thing that I do tell my students now is start numbering your boots.
Numbering your boots.
Yeah, because I have no earthly idea how many pairs I've made through my career, and I would love to know that.
Yeah.
But I never thought about it when I first started,
Right.
you know, and, you know.
Now it's like maybe, do you think it's in the 500s? Do you think it went?
Oh, I would imagine more than that. I've been doing this almost 40 years.
Yeah, you're right.
So,
yeah.
You know,
Wow, yeah.
probably more like, you know, thousands, you know.
Wow.
But who knows? Because I absolutely have no idea. And that's one thing that I really would like to know.
Yeah.
So,
and
any of you youngins out there, number your boots.
Did you take photos of each and every one when you finish?
Yes, pretty much. And a lot of them, of course, through the years are on hard photos.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I'd have to go back and look through, and every now and again I run across a pair, and I'm like, wow, I forgot about that pair. I remember making that pair.
Right. Oh, that's really cool. Do you have a motto or mantra that you live by? Kind of like daily inspirations, sort of?
Well, not really. I just, you know, it'd probably be really good to have one of those right now during this COVID time, because I think this has been probably one of the hardest things I've ever lived through in my life.
Wow. Yeah.
You know, I think it's probably the scariest thing.
Right.
Maybe as scary as the Bay of Pigs was, but of course I was a little too young then to exactly understand what a near disaster that was. So, you know, I mean, and I've never really had to deal with being so isolated. I mean, I'm a very introverted person, and I've lived alone and worked alone for most of my career. Mm-hmm. But this is totally different.
Yeah, when it's no option, right? It's like
no option. Yeah, you have to be like that. And you know, all my social outlets have kind of gone away. Mm-hmm. You know, I have a few people that I do see from time to time. You know, we mask up and sit on a patio and visit. You know, but that doesn't happen very often.
Right.
And so this has been tough.
Yeah, absolutely. I heard you sing. Do you sing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've sung with the New Mexico Women's Chorus for about 20 years.
Wow.
And there again, that was one of my social outlets. But of course now singing is one of the worst things you can do. You know, they found, you know, you spread all those droplets and everything.
Oh my goodness. Right.
And
can you sing in an open field, like 6 feet apart?
Well, I guess we could in the fall and the spring. It's a little too hot in the summer to do that here, and too cold in the winter. So
right.
I don't know how you could make it work, you know.
Right.
But I do miss that. They do a Zoom thing, but the technology of that is so hard for me to deal with sometimes that I just said, no, when we're back together as a group and we can do it in person, I'll be back. But till then.
Yeah. Oh, it's difficult. What's your favorite song to sing?
Oh gosh, I don't have a favorite song. There's so much great music out there. I really don't have a favorite song.
Yeah.
I really love the old 60s acid rock. That's some of my favorite music, you know, the Jefferson Airplane and Cream and the Doors and music like that. I really love that.
And
I thought that was.
Listen in the workshop too? Do you always have music in the workshop?
No, I don't listen to music too much in the workshop. I listen to books on tape.
Oh, okay.
I like stories, you know, so I get books on tape from the library and I listen to that.
Sometimes, Yeah, sometimes when you listen to books, I do audiobooks too, but sometimes when you listen to books, do you ever fall behind on either of it? Like, you know, with your work or with the book?
No, not really, because nowadays, the work is so second nature to me that I
Mm.
don't have to think about it too much. Now, if I'm
Uh-huh.
doing something, I haven't been able to, I've been really concentrating on these shoes and trying to figure out these shoe patterns and how to put
Uh-huh.
them together and,
Mhm.
all that stuff. So I haven't been listening as much
Right,
doing that because
right,
I do have to concentrate so
right.
much. But when I'm doing a pair of boots, you
Yeah,
know, it's also second nature to me now that it's just,
yeah, yeah.
I don't even have to think about it most of the
Right,
time.
right, right. Very cool, very cool. Um, so many things. Sorry, I'm gonna now talk about future. If you had all the resources available to you and no worries about life, what kind of boots would you make and for who?
I probably wouldn't make any at all.
No.
I'm kind of done. I mean, I've loved it all these years. I've loved it. But really, when you do something for 40 years,
Uh-huh.
you do begin to get a little burned out with it, you
Yeah.
know. Um, I love woodworking, and I've been wanting to for several years now. I've been really interested in maybe some kind of furniture making that I can do carved leather with,
Uh-huh.
and stuff like that. That's kind of more what I'd like to do now. Is
Nice.
is go into something else. Of course, I probably would always make boots if I had the equipment and everything available. I
Yeah.
probably would always do it
Yeah.
at some point, at least for my family and for
Yeah.
myself. And,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. Yeah. Very cool. I feel like there's a common theme with shoes and furniture. It's like it fits, it should be comfortable for your body.
yeah,
Yeah. And it kind of fits your body and you know it well. If it's like say not maybe not with like a table but like a chair, like your body knows
right.
it well. So if
Oh, I know. And I tell you what, the older I get and the more aches and pains I have, uh, I'm very picky about my chairs and how soft they are and how much cushion they have. And,
yeah.
that sciatica is a, is a killer.
Yeah. But that's so beautiful though. It'll be nice to see your carving work and leather work and woodwork. It's, I mean, yeah. Like,
I hope to be able to do it. It's just being able to make the transition financially to be able to do those kind of
right,
things.
right, right,
That's really kind of the big
right,
rub.
right. But it's nice to like dream about it though. I always,
Sure.
yeah, absolutely.
That's why I buy a lottery ticket every week, I mean, who knows?
Oh, yeah,
It can happen.
yeah. Will you do anything differently? Do you think after the pandemic settles? Do you think has anything changed for you that you feel like priorities have changed? Or
Well,
mm,
I do. It has made me kind of yearn to be a little closer to my daughter.
yeah,
Uh, she lives in Round Rock, Texas, which is a suburb of Austin, and it's kind of a long way away.
yeah,
And before COVID, we saw each other, 4 or 5 times a year.
uh-huh,
She'd come here, I'd go there.
uh-huh,
We'd meet sometimes other places. Sometimes she'd come to Wichita Falls when I was there at the Roundup and stuff like that.
yeah,
But I'm really kind of wishing I was a little closer,
sure,
that we were
yeah,
closer together, because
yeah,
I've really, really, really missed her a lot.
yeah. And your and your granddaughter, you were saying?
I have two grandchildren. I have a grandson and granddaughter. My grandson just turned 18. My
Wow.
granddaughter's 14.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
He's all excited. He gets to vote this time.
Okay, yes. Okay, let's okay, I don't want to talk politics, but I'm
No, I don't either, but he's so excited. I'm happy
yeah,
because he's
I'm
excited.
happy
He
for
wants to
him.
vote.
Yes, that's amazing. Yeah, next
Yeah.
generations to come, you know.
Yeah.
Um, where would you want to be in 3 to 5 to 10 years? Let's
Oh,
see.
gosh, I don't even know about that. You know, it's when you get to be my age, it's like every year is kind of a bonus. You know, you're saying, dang, I'm still on the right side of the grass, you know? So I really don't know. I just want to be, you know, healthy as I can be and have as clear and good a mind as I can have and still, you know,
Yeah,
be with it. My
I
mom
actually
and my aunt had Alzheimer's, so I,
can.
you know, I went through that walk with them,
Uh-huh.
and that's really a hard thing. However, both of my parents were, you know, they lived to a ripe old age, and they just kind of both
Yeah,
keeled over. You know,
yeah.
my mother died in her sleep, and my dad just didn't get up one day and was gone by that evening. And I mean, I didn't have to sit there and watch them suffer physically that hard, you know.
Right.
And so that's kind of what I want. I just want to live as long as I can live and be cognizant and be happy and tip over on the golf course when it's time to go. You know?
Oh my. I didn't ask you your age because I thought it's like, you know, rude maybe because I'm
No,
Asian. Oh, old
age
for
doesn't bother me. I'm 70.
70. So
I
young. Hello.
well, yeah, nowadays it is,
Yeah,
but of
but you're
course,
feeling it. Yeah. You're
I always thought I'd live to be this age. I just never thought I'd feel this old. You know, my body is like, oh God, this hurts.
right, 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 right. But
So
I
you
think,
young people, take good care of your bodies. Don't abuse
yeah,
your bodies.
yeah. But I think what I like about your teaching is like you can actually, you know, books is like a lot of words. Shoemaking is like very, or bootmaking is like it's wordy, you know, like the details, the nuances. So like it's nice that you can tell by seeing and watching the students as well. Like you can just kind of give the advice, you know.
Yeah.
Of course, you're showing next to them, which is a really like a treat to the student that you can show them exactly what to do. But
Well, one of the things that I've learned in teaching about that
yeah,
is that, like my father, when I learned with him,
uh-huh,
he'd been doing it so long, just like I have,
yeah,
that everything is so second nature to him
right,
that sometimes he had a hard time explaining to me how he did something.
right.
Pegging. When I was learning to peg, I
Yeah,
just break those pegs, they just shatter. And I thought, why can't I learn to peg? And I asked him, I said, Dad, why do I always break the pegs? And he said, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. So finally one day he was pegging a pair of boots and I just sat down and watched him.
yeah, yeah,
And I realized that it was the position on the edge of the hammer that he was hitting the peg with. He
uh-huh,
wasn't hitting it in the center of the hammer. He was hitting it out on the edge.
uh-huh,
And it was kind of a whap, you know, it was
yeah,
just kind of, you'd hit it and kind of poke it, but come right back up. Whap, you know. And then I started practicing like that and I finally got
got it.
it, you know. So every now and again, when I have a hard time trying to get across to a student, I'll say, well, here, let me show you one more time. Just watch this. Just watch how I do it.
Yeah,
And I tell all of my students, I'm going to show you how I do it.
right.
If you can come up with a different way that works better for you and you get the same result, I don't care.
Yeah,
You can do it that way. I don't do everything exactly like my dad taught me.
right.
Mostly I do, but you know, he had a lot more strength in his hands and his arms, and he, you know, he's a guy. He had way more strength than I do.
Yeah,
So I had to learn some of my own ways
yeah,
of how to do something.
yeah. And
But
people,
that's
yeah, I think students come to learn your way, like it's your way, you know. And even I think maybe some people go to other people to learn as well
mhm.
and compare and make it their
Yeah.
own as well. Yeah.
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 And that's fine, you know, because I mean, we all have a different way of doing things. I mean, you ask about it, if I could do anything I want to do. Maybe one of the things I'd love to do is just get an RV and travel around and work in somebody's shop for 2 or 3 weeks at a time.
That
Just
would be
work with
fun.
them and see how they do things.
Yeah.
You know, I think that'd be great fun.
Yeah, that would be great fun. Yeah.
You
To have the
know?
time and yeah, and
Yeah. Let me just park outside your shop, and then I'll come and work for you for 2 or 3 weeks. And you know, you don't have to pay me. Just let me plug into your electricity.
that would be really fun. Wouldn't that be fun? I feel like it'll be fun.
I think it'd be great. I think it'd be a
Yeah.
lot of fun.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I feel like I think I asked a lot of things, but I know I wrote it down and I know I can look it up too, but can I ask your father's name?
His name was L.W., initials only. Even on his birth certificate, there's only initials.
Oh, really? I thought
Yeah.
that was just kind of not a nickname, but I thought it was like because that was like his bootmaker name. It's actually L.
No, his name on his birth certificate is L.W. McGuffin.
Oh, wow.
His nickname was Booney.
Oh, Bernie?
Booney. B-O-O-N-Y. Booney.
Why Booney?
I have no idea. I think his sister called him that. I don't know. Maybe she couldn't say brother.
Oh,
and she said
okay.
Booney.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That is very.
That's one of those questions that you forgot to ask your parents. You know? And now you're saying, where did that come from?
Yeah, where did that come from? Oh, that's so amazing. I hope that you're gonna keep on teaching for a little while longer, please, and so that
Well, I've got 2 students booked in that we're trying to get in before the end of the year.
Wow.
I don't know. I'm hoping to get one in maybe at the end of October and another one maybe in November or the first part of next year. They were both. One was supposed to be here in May, and of course we had to postpone that.
Right.
So
would you?
I'm hoping for October.
October. Would you kind of have them quarantine themselves ahead of time a little bit and no?
Well, probably, but and I would really prefer it if they drove here rather than to fly. But one's coming, I think, from Delaware, and one's coming from California. So who knows about that?
Right.
You know,
right.
And of course, I'm sure we'll just have to wear masks in the shop. And I have 2 sets of tools because I have my hand tools that I had, and then I've got my dad's hand tools. So I have 2 sets of tools. So we can divvy up most of the tools. There's some that still have to be, shared, but we just have to mask up and try to have some kind of a little bit more distance than I usually do.
Do you teach your?
I'm hoping by October that things will be able to open up a little more, and we're not quite as locked down as tight as we are in the state right now.
Yeah, I hope so too. Yeah. Do you also teach your students how to maintain the machine, for example?
As much as I know how. Carl Chappell used to give a course on that, and I really wanted to go take his course on machine maintenance, how to time your stitchers and your sewing machines and all that, And I kept saying, oh, well, gee, I don't have time right now. I'll do it next year. And now I don't think he does it anymore. I think that'd be a great class to have. It would be great if somebody would do that and teach people that.
Because, some of the machinery you can get, because not so many people want those big machines anymore. But, I'm just curious.
Finding people to work on them, though, is hard. Murphy was working here one day, and she came in and got me. It was after the COVID started, so we weren't working together in the shop. She was just working out there, and she said, Big Bertha's locked down, and I was like, oh crap. And I went out there, and Big Bertha was just locked down tighter than a drum. I couldn't move anything, and it took me a while to figure out what happened. It was probably my fault because I changed the thread on it, and I changed and put a new needle on there, and I didn't get it tightened down tight enough. And somehow or another, that needle got poked back in the gears, back behind there. And so I had to pull that needle out of there, and I thought, boy, I hope it doesn't break off in there, because if it does, I don't know what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, God, this could be a horrible expense of trying to get somebody to come and work on this machine.
Yeah.
But I was able to figure out what was the matter with it, and I fixed it. But boy, I was sweating bullets on that one, man.
Yeah. How long did it take? Like a couple days to even?
A couple hours. It took me a couple hours to do it.
Yeah. But you can do it. That's amazing.
It took me a while to figure out what was the matter, and then it took me a while to figure out how to get it, because I had to take some things off. You know, I had to move the thread lifter and everything so I could get back in there and really see what was happening with it. Luckily, I've got here in town, there's a good sewing machine place that I can take my top machines in for repair.
Yeah.
So, and there's one guy that actually will come to the shop and do repairs for the light machines. But for that stitcher, boy, you know, I'm kind of on my own with that girl.
Yeah, absolutely. We have Shoe Systems Plus, not too far away, but it's still a lot to ask him to come over to us. And I've when the technician's right there, it seems so easy to use, and then suddenly on, it's like, oh, wait a minute, what happened? So yeah, I need to practice a little more, but that's cool. Bertha is so cool. You were somewhere, I read that you're third generation, so your father's father also made? My
grandfather, he did more repair work, really, and he was, back then they had top makers and bottomers, you know, and he was a bottomer, really. And he opened his first shop in Carrizozo, New Mexico in 1917.
Wow.
And back then they ordered boot tops from Blucher or Olsen Stelzer. That was kind of the beginning of the factories back then. And they would order the tops from them, and then they fit up the lasts and put them on.
Oh, interesting. So it was a booming industry, I guess, in a way.
Yeah, it was. And of course, back then, even though they were factory operation, factory boots weren't that big a deal. And later, my dad grew up in Roswell, New Mexico, and they had a shoe shop there, and he was working in the shoe shop when he could run the shop by the time he was 12 years old, you know, because he worked there all the time.
Wow.
And he knew how to do bottom work, but he really didn't know how to do the top work. And when he grew up, he went to Portales, to the university there. It was a junior college at the time, Eastern New Mexico University. And he went there, and he went to work for a guy named John Skinner, who was a bootmaker in Portales. And part of the deal was he would do repair work for him and work for him, and he would teach him to make boots. Well, John really wanted him to sweep the floor and do his repair work, and he didn't really want to teach him because it was that competition thing he did.
Right. So and watch or something. Or
he did. That's what he did. He just kind of watched over the guy's shoulder, and he was pretty much a self-taught top maker.
Wow.
But he was so good at it. Like I said before, his tops were just amazing. He did beautiful work. In some respects, I'll never be the bootmaker my dad was. In some ways, I probably surpassed some of the things that he did, but you know.
Yeah. I think we were talking about it with Wes and seeing like the lineage a little bit. It's cool to see, some of the designs and the patterns, and refer back to you, or you back to LW.
Most of my patterns that I use today, just about all of my stitch patterns are my dad's stitch patterns. I'm not a very good pattern designer. He could sit down and draw those stitch patterns, beautiful stitch patterns. I've designed a couple of pairs of boots from scratch, but most of the time I'm a good tracer.
But when there's something good right there, you're like, why not use it? So I think it's great. Yeah. Oh, thank you so much for taking your time to like, talk with me with all this. I feel like I could ask all these more detailed like boot making things, but I think that's like, I should just come and take your class.
Oh, that'd be great. I'd love that. Or I'd love to come and teach at your place.
Yeah.
I think that'd be fun to do a couple of weeks stint there and teach a class there.
Yes.
I've had a couple of students from your
spot
that work there with you.
Yeah.
Murphy and Emily.
Emily, yeah. She's
I can't remember her last name. Begins with a B.
Buxenbaum.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep. She was a lot of fun.
Yeah, she's still making it. She's still making the boots.
Cool.
Yeah, and then.
Well, if you see her, tell her I say hi.
Yes, and the video would be online, so maybe she can watch.
Yeah. Hi, Emily.
Yeah.
Hi to everybody out there, all my students. If you're watching, hi.
Yes.
Miss you, love you, mean it.
Yeah. Do you feel like you have more male students or female students?
Well, in the beginning, it was clients and students. In the beginning, it was mostly male, and now it's probably about half and half.
Oh,
in fact, for quite a stretch there, I didn't have any male students. They were all females. And then here in the last year, I've had several guys. So
that's really cool to see.
The ones I have on tap, I've got one female and one male. So, I really like it. And I'm really glad to see more women coming into the business. And I'm glad to see younger people, because when I started here, boot making was kind of a dying art. And so it's, because of Tyler Beard's books and Jennifer June's book in particular too, that has really kind of brought a new resurgence into the business, which is really cool. And I'm really very impressed. Last year, I was very impressed with the quality of the boot making at the Roundup contest. Oh. There were over 40 pair of boots in that contest. Oh, wow. And there was one of them that was really rough. Mm-hmm. In the years past, I've seen some pretty rough boots in that contest. Yeah. Particularly in the journeyman contest and the beginners and stuff. Yeah. I mean, I was proud that they were there, and they weren't any rougher than my first pair, but right. I was really impressed with the quality of the boot making that I saw there last year. And these young bootmakers coming up, I was like, damn, I'm glad I didn't put anything in the contest.
Oh, you can be the judge. That's amazing though, right? I mean, I just, I thought that I knew a lot of shoemakers in the US, and then I started interviewing, and then I started looking on Instagram for more shoemakers and bootmakers. And once I opened the lid for the cowboy Western bootmakers, there's a whole world out there.
Oh yeah, it's a huge world. You ought to come to the Roundup. That's really an amazing thing to do. I love going. Of course, I do a lot of my buying there. And now it's a trade show, but it's great to interact with your peers. It's great to see what other people are doing. Yeah. You go through and you look at those boots on display, and you look at them and you say, wow, I'm a pretty good boot maker. And you put that one down, walk to the next one, and you're like, oh, I guess I better go home and go to work. Right. So it's nice to have some comparison, know.
And they're all over the country, which is amazing.
Oh yeah. And maybe even the world. I've had one student from Australia.
Oh yes, and New Zealand. Someone from New Zealand, no?
Australia. I just have one from Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as far as I know, she and her husband he's a saddle maker, and I think they have a shop now somewhere, in Melbourne or Perth or somewhere. Wow. I'm not sure where they're from.
Saddle making is also a
Yeah.
art,
So,
art.
I mean, that's exciting to know, you know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You have so much knowledge. I wish, yeah, I'm looking forward to the video, maybe a book.
Ah, book.
No,
Ooh.
you can just talk and somebody can like record it, maybe.
Well, I'd have to do that. You know, one of the reasons that I'm one of these ditzy artists is I'm dyslexic. So reading and writing and arithmetic are not my fine points, you know.
That's okay.
So I know I just had to learn how to do things in a different way. So,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. You can delegate.
Yep.
Someone can do it for you. Yeah, no, thank you so much for taking the time, and sorry about the technology this early afternoon. I don't know what was going on.
I don't know. Well, I really think I was listening to the radio earlier on, and they were talking about having issues with the internet because so many people are using it right now. And that's what we discussed today. So yeah. I think my daughter has said, you know, where they are, they've had issues with that, with trying to stay on, you know, they said, you know, these kids are on trying to go to school and they get bumped off every 20 minutes.
Wow.
And that was kind of what was happening with us today.
Yeah.
So who knows?
But now this time it's great. So thank you for that. And
well, thank you. I've appreciated talking with you, and I enjoyed meeting you and talking with you. And I feel like I know you now. We'll shake hands, yeah. And maybe someday I'll get to New York. I've never really been there. I've flown in, coming back from England. I flew in there, but I never left the airport. So I've never been to New York otherwise. So maybe someday I'll come.
Someday, definitely.
Do you know Eddie from Old Bitch and Cat Boots? Yeah.
Yes, I'm trying to talk with him, but you know, right now he doesn't have access to his workshops, and then maybe he's kind of back, but he's working and busy, so he's like, I can't, you know, and also summertime, family time.
Yeah.
So maybe if something, you know, once something schedules settle, maybe he can go on with me, he says. So
well, that'd be great. He's a great guy. He's a lot of fun. I enjoy him. He's one of my faves.
Yes, and he loves to learn from, you know, everybody, including you. He told me about you. I think he's visited you.
Yeah. Well, we've seen each other a lot. There's another little get together in the spring in Texas at Salado, and it is just kind of a bootmakers gathering. It's not a trade show or anything else. We just get together at Dustin Law's place, and we have a barbecue, and we sit around and eat barbecue and drink beer and talk boots.
Nice.
And that's a real nice little thing. And he's been to that several times. Of course, he's been to the roundup several times, and I've really enjoyed visiting with him.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it that also there's people who are really taking it on but also working elsewhere too. Like, but they're really loving it as a craft. Yeah. I think there's so much to see and learn. I'm really excited. One day maybe I'll come. I don't know, I'm not a bootmaker, but are you allowed to go to the roundups?
Sure, absolutely. Anybody can go. Costs $10 to get in the door. You pay them your $10, you walk in.
Okay.
And I think it's the first weekend of October. And
here?
No, they're going to have it this year, as far as I know. They haven't canceled it yet, as far as I know. So I guess we'll all just mask up and stay socially distanced and hand our money across the table when we buy something.
Oh dear, but I'm sure everybody's looking forward to it. You know,
it's a wonderful time. It's just like a big family reunion, but it's got to be hard having to do it because you can't hug, you can't. And we usually get together on Saturday night, go to a steakhouse, and there's probably 40 of us there, and we won't be able to do that this trip probably, but you know, it'd still be nice to see everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, thank you so much. Let's keep that community going, and one day I would love to come and join at some point or something.
That would be wonderful. Love to have you.
Thank you. All right.
And it's been nice visiting with you, and stay in contact. Text me now and again and say, hey, how you doing?
Yeah, definitely. I think if phone calls are better, I'll just call you too.
Texting is my favorite way.
Texting?
You know, because then and then if we got a lot to say, then I'll say, let's call.
Okay, I'll text. All right, save my number, please. I'm Keiko.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're in my phone. I've got you in my contacts, so you're there.
Okay, good. Okay, well, we'll keep in touch. And until next time, good night.
Good night.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.